Mandalay Bay versus Delano. Which should you choose? In this video, I'm going to cover the main differences between these two properties so that you can pick the one that is best suited for you. And the first thing that I think we should acknowledge is that in many ways, they're the same property. Just like Bellagio has two towers, Cosmo has two towers. With Wynn, you obviously have Wynn and Encore. It's in many ways the same thing here. Delano and Mandalay Bay, they're one large property. They're connected, but there are some definite distinctions. And so let's discuss those. First and foremost, Delano is non-smoking, something that I definitely appreciate, although it's not a huge deal with Mandalay Bay. They have great ventilation. If you're staying at Delano, you're probably going to be walking through Mandalay Bay quite often, but it's definitely a plus in my mind. Delano is also non-gaming, so it's not quite as busy. You don't have as much foot traffic, people gaming. But Mandalay Bay is right there, short walk over to the Mandalay Bay Casino. In terms of the rooms, let's just get to the point. It's probably the most important factor. Now, in terms of the suites, if you're a big baller, there's nice suites at both of these properties. There's amazing suites, probably some of the nicest suites that you'll find on the Strip, actually. I was fortunate to have stayed in a Reef Suite at Mandalay Bay. You could maybe even say that really nicest suites in Mandalay Bay are nicer than Delano. I know they have the Presidential Suite, which is amazing, probably one of the nicest suites on the Strip. But both amazing suites at both properties. But in terms of the standard room, I think that's probably gonna be most relevant to most people watching this video. Which one should you choose if it's going to be the standard room at Mandalay Bay versus Delano? Now, with one of the drawbacks, they're both very nice. I think Mandalay Bay calls itself a 4-star property. Delano calls itself a 5-star property. That might be a little bit of a stretch because they're both 15, 20 years old, haven't been updated recently, but it's, I'd say, relatively accurate. They're both really nice. They're both upscale. They feel relatively luxurious, maybe not quite at the level of Encore, Wynn, but they're very nice in my mind, higher end of the Strip. Now, in terms of Mandalay Bay, it's a standard room, and they're nice rooms, but the standard room is a standard room. It's not a suite. One bedroom, one bathroom. Delano, the standard room, is a suite, the King Suite, or I believe they also have the 2 Queen Suite. So the big benefit of that is, first and foremost, you have the closed off bedroom and living room. You also have an extra bathroom. So it has 1.5 bathrooms. To me, that's a huge plus. So I think for that alone, in my mind, Delano definitely has the edge just for the standard room. That's why I think Delano definitely has a huge advantage there. So I would recommend Delano, frankly, in that regard. Because of that, if the pricing is similar, I think you're still gonna have a great time at Mandalay Bay if you stay at Mandalay Bay. If Mandalay Bay is a lot cheaper, that might be the better option because you can get on the property for a lower amount. One tip is you could ask, because they use the same reservation system. There's a check-in desk for Delano, there's a check-in desk for Mandalay Bay, but they're connected. So you can actually, as an example, one time last summer when we were staying at Mandalay Bay, they were booked. They were so full, they had no room for us, and they offered to move us to Delano. We just had a standard room at Mandalay Bay. They offered to move us into a suite at Delano free of charge. And funny enough, we actually declined it because we wanted to make a video at Mandalay Bay. Silly enough, we had just recently stayed at Delano, and so we waited, and we ended up getting a really nice room in Mandalay Bay. But sometimes they'll be willing to. Now, they won't always do that. That was because they were overbooked. But if you ask, if you get the right person, if you ask the right way, it's certainly a possibility. So just keep that in mind. Otherwise, they might do it for a small charge, $20, $30, $40 a night. So it's certainly something to keep in mind. Beyond that, one of the next step up for an upgrade is at Mandalay Bay. It's called the Executive Suite. It's a little bit larger room. It's much bigger, and it has a little desk area. It has a couch area. It's really nice, and we were fortunate to stay in one with a strip view. However, I'm sure that's not. I'm not quite sure that's even as nice as the Delano King Suite, because it's still not really. They call it an executive suite, but to me, technically, it's still not even a suite. At Delano, the next step up is a scenic suite, which I think is amazing. It's one of my favorite room suites on the Strip. For kind of a close to base room, I think it's amazing. It's relatively the same size as the King Suite, like 750 feet, might be like 20 feet bigger, but you have a little bit more room in the bedroom. The living room's essentially the same, but you have a little bit more room in the bedroom and more windows, which just makes a huge difference, hence the term scenic. And if you can find one of those on facing the Strip, it's amazing. You're going to get that iconic Strip view. It really sets off the mood. It's what you would look for in a view when you go to a suite in Vegas. So I've stayed in the scenic suite a couple times, 2 or 3 times. I love it. I'm a big fan, so I would recommend that if you can. If you can't, I would ask again the next night. It never hurts to ask. Be nice, show your appreciation. If it's not important to you, you don't care about the view, you don't care about the extra space, then maybe it's not that important. So let's keep it moving here. I want to talk about dining. I want to talk about the pool. I want to talk about the gym, and then we'll wrap it up. In terms of dining, it's really the same. You get access to all the restaurants, regardless of if you're staying at Delano and Mandalay Bay, and the majority of them are at Mandalay Bay. But there are 2 distinct restaurants of each property, and the first one at Mandalay Bay is the Foundation Room, and this one is somewhat of iconic. It has that really nice view where you see the Mandalay Bay sign. It's really cool. It's kind of like a lounge bar. It gets kind of crowded at night. Sometimes you'll have to wait to go up there. I had been to the lounge previously. Most recently on this past trip, as you can see more detailed in my other video, we had the opportunity to eat at the Foundation Room. And when we walked in there, it was kind of empty. And that, it was kind of earlier in the night, but it was kind of empty. And that probably should have been telling. Maybe there was a reason for that. And it was also kind of funny too, because right in front of us, HBO Boxing, or like this famous, I don't know his name, boxing commentator was like literally right in front of our table outside with the Vegas view in the background. So that was kind of cool. It was a cool experience, but the food was just awful. I was shocked how bad the food was. And if you watch my other videos, you'll know that I rarely, if ever, criticize the food or complain. I'm very, I would say, easy to please. I'm not a picky eater for the most part. I tend to like most meals. I know Vegas, there's some great food in Vegas, but oftentimes it's more expensive and sometimes it might not be as good. Still, I always make the best of it. And I'm just shocked that the Foundation Room, the food they were putting out. One interesting note that I found out is it actually is not run by MGM. It's a separate entity that runs this restaurant. And I think every other restaurant at essentially probably besides the food court at Mandalay Bay, virtually every other restaurant is affiliated with MGM. So I don't know if that has something to do with it. They're completely just getting away with this because of that amazing location, amazing view. And I don't even really fault the employees there. The service was good. All the employees, the servers, the bus people, the staff, they were all great. They were very nice, wanted to have a great experience. they don't make those decisions in terms of the menu, the quality of the food. Even the cook, the chef, I'm sure they don't have control over that. So I don't fault them. But just from a quality standpoint, the steak we had was just cold. There was like no flavor. It was completely cold. There was no flavor, no seasoning. It was just terrible. I mean, frankly, we probably should have sent it back to pay, $70, $80, $90, whatever we paid for that. It's just silly, but we're just not very confrontational, and so I just wouldn't think to do that, and was really just in shock. It was, I hope I'm not being too dramatic. It was still a great experience. We enjoyed it, but we're just kind of something I thought you should know in terms of the food there. With that said, it's a nice ambiance. The dining room was nice. But personally, if I was to do it over, I would just go to the lounge. You can just go to the lounge, you can have a drink, or just go up there, check it out. You could still see an amazing view. The lounge is on the side facing the strip. The restaurant's actually not, even though they'll go and let you take a walk while you're waiting for your food. So that would be my recommendation. Delano does have one dedicated restaurant. Actually, they have another one downstairs, like a casual one for breakfast and lunch. But the main restaurant, Della's, is the one downstairs. The main restaurant is called Rivia, and that's the one that has the view. It's the top floor, close to the top floor, and I've eaten there before last year. The food's great. It's a high quality restaurant. Not saying it's perfect, but it's very good. I would highly recommend it. I would love to go there again. Even better views because it looks directly over the strip. And I also think that Skyfall, which is the lounge, is connected to Rivia, just same way Foundation Room is connected to the lounge and restaurant on the Mandalay Bay side. Skyfall is a way better lounge too. It's just nicer, more modern, more contemporary, and the view is way better because you're directly in the strip, facing down all those hotels, right over Luxor. So that would be my recommendation. I mean, frankly, I would go to both. I probably wouldn't eat at Foundation Room, but I would just go check them out. Picture opportunities, get your photos, check it out. But I wouldn't really recommend spending a lot of money at Foundation Room. I would go make your reservations at Rivia, have dinner at Rivia. In terms of the pool at Mandalay Bay is amazing. I think it's my favorite pool, or one of my favorite pools. The wave pool is awesome. It almost feels like somewhat of a theme park feel in a good way. It can get kind of crowded. It hasn't been too bad when I've been there. I've been able to get a spot. Just a lot of fun, Mandalay Bay pool. Now, one advantage at Delano, I've actually never stayed at Delano in the summer, but my understanding with Delano is that you go to their pool, the private pool, the Delano pool, and you can also go to the Mandalay Bay pool. Whereas you can double check that. That's my understanding. Whereas with Mandalay Bay, you can only go to the Mandalay Bay pool. You can't go to the Delano pool. So that's something to keep in mind. I think that's another advantage of staying at Delano. In terms of the gym, and I know most people watching this video could care less about the gym. Who the hell wants to work out in Vegas? I do, so I'll mention it. Mandalay Bay actually has a way nicer gym. It's one of the nicest gyms you'll find. It's incredible. But we recently found out last time we went there, they're charging for it now, an extra like $20 or $25 a day. I don't know if that's still the case. That was last summer. And I was just dumbfounded by that because you have a resort fee for $35 a day, and that's not included in the resort fee. What? So that's, to me, a huge disadvantage. Now, they do have something called the cardio center, where it has cardio equipment and some weights in there, enough to get by. It's still better than most like small Holiday Inn hotel gyms. There's some free weights, some bars, so it's not terrible. It's just a shame though, because that other gym's so nice, and we were actually able to get one free day, just because we didn't know that. And they were like, okay, we'll give you one free day. We went into the really nice gym just for the first day, and it was completely empty. it's just such a shame. Nobody's, wants to pay $20 extra on top of the resort fee. So it's just sitting there empty in the spa area, which is kind of too bad. Delano has a nice gym, and you can, it's not quite as nice as the Mandalay Bay gym. The Mandalay Bay gym has, it's bigger, it has views of the pool area, very tropical. The Delano gym is nice though, and it's included. You don't have to pay extra for it. So in my mind, I think that's an advantage. So overall, they're both amazing properties. I love them both. A lot of people think it's Delano's, and I'm not trying to sit here and sell you on Mandalay Bay or Delano. I could, really don't really care. There's lots of great places to stay on the Strip, but I wouldn't let the distance deter you. I mean, people often talk about distance, and it's on the south end of the Strip. The whole entire Strip is 4 miles, which is long. It takes some time to walk place to place, but it's not like Miami, where it's the Coconut Grove versus South Beach, and it's 20-minute car drive. Sometimes I hear people talking about it like it's like that. It's really not that big of a deal. You could walk to Central Strip, and they have a free tram from Mandalay Bay that goes to Excalibur, right next to New York. You could hop on that 5 minutes and then walk over to the Bellagio in 10, 15, 20 minutes. So it's really not that far from everywhere, in my opinion. And you have everything you need on property at Mandalay Bay. You don't really need to leave per se. So, and also there's some cool stuff to do, in that area. There's the arcade you can check out called Pinball, has a ton of arcade games. There's also the Welcome to Vegas sign. You could walk over there very easily from Mandalay Bay. Cool photo opportunity. Check that out. So yeah, overall, I would recommend it. Either one, I think you can't go wrong. Whatever works for your budget. But if it's the same, or you're not sure, I would lean towards Delano for that suite, for the extra space, for the extra half bathroom. And I hope you found this video helpful about Mandalay Bay and Delano, about which property you should choose.